Hello student, I am Professor Devashish Bose, Head at Department of Criminology and Forensic Science, Dr. HARISINGH GOUR VISHWAVIDYALAYA, SAGAR, Madhya Pradesh. Today, I am going to present a lecture of BSc 5th semester on the unit General Idea and Examination of Vegetable and Plant Poison Part 3, which has been jointly prepared by myself and Ms. Priyanka Pahade, PhD scholar, a UGC JRF at Department of Criminology and Forensic Science, Dr. HARISINGH GOUR VISHWAVIDYALAYA, SAGAR. So, let's start our discussion while taking a look at what we are going to learn today. Today, in Module 1, we will be looking at Introduction to Vegetable and Plant Poisons and their classification, that is, Dhatura, Bitter Apple and Lalchitra. Module 2 will deal about the preliminary examination of the above mentioned plant poison. Module 3 will deal with the confirmatory examination. Module 4 will deal with the forensic importance of the above mentioned plant poison. Module 5 will be dedicated to case study, and finally, the Module 6 will be our conclusion. So, let's start with Module 1, that is Introduction to Vegetable and Plant Poison and their classification, with special reference to Dhatura, Bitter Apple and Lalchitra. Dhatura fastidiosa. Dhatura, also known by different name in India as in Sanskrit Dhurta, Cheat and Unmata or Shivashekhara. It is a genus of vespertine, flowering in the evening, flowering plant belonging to the family Solanaceae. The Solanaceae family, commonly known as nightshades family, holds 85 genera and 2,800 species and contains mainly poisonous plant. Dhatura may have been originated in Central America, but botanists remain unsure about its existence. Its hypnotic and hallucinogenic property are well known since early time. In Colombia, when a rich slave owner died, it was customary to bury his widow and slave live along with the dead body. Dhatura extract was often administered to prepare them for live burial. Its trance-like state, often called as enlightening state, is used by tribal in several sacred and ceremonies. The plants are abundant and grow wild all over India. Dhatura fastidiosa grows in plain and Dhatura stramonia grows in the range of Himalayan altitude. In the plains, two varieties of Dhatura fastidiosa are available. Dhatura alba, a white flowered plant, Safed Dhatura commonly known as, and Dhatura niger, a black or rather deep purple flowered plant, also known as Kala Dhatura. The flowers are bell-shaped, have 5 petals which open after dusk and close by mid-morning. They exude a pleasant narcotic scent, especially at night. The fruits are spherical and have sharp-edged spine, giving the English name thorn apple to the plant. They contain brown seeds resembling same to that of chili seeds. An average size fruit contain around 450 to 500 seeds. Seeds yield what we call as Dhatura. All the parts of the plant are poisonous, that is, seed, fruit, nectar or its honey. But the seeds and the fruit are considered to be the most noxious. Dhatura stramonium, Jimson's weed, apple of Peru, devil's trumpet, Jamestown weed, mad apple, stingweed, thorn apple, they are the common names used in different parts of the world, is an extremely deadly plant. There are about 15 species of Dhatura. While all are poisonous, their fragrance can be sweet or unpleasant depending on the season. Active principle. The active principle contains the alkaloid hyoscyamine, hyoscine or scopolamine and traces of atropine, commonly referred to as belladonna alkaloid. In Italian language, belladonna means a pretty woman In ancient time, women used to instill drops containing atropine into their eyes to produce pupillary dilation so as to make themselves appear more attractive. Its different alkaloids competitively inhibit the muscarine effect of acetylcholine. Central nervous system effects result from their central anti-muscarine action. Its vagal stimulation leads to decreased heart rate. An alkaloid is a complex substance found in various plants. It is so called because it behaves like an alkali and combines with acid to form salts. The distribution of alkaloid in the plant is not uniform. Some are concentrated in the root, others in the seed, and some others in the bark, and so on. Mechanism of action. Alkaloids exert both central and peripheral action. Small doses stimulate the central nervous system, causing excitement and restlessness, while large doses produces depression, delirium, and later coma. Peripheral effects are due to the blockage of chlorogenic fibers with resultant parasympathetic paralysis. Therefore, they inhibit secretion of sweat and saliva, dilate the cutaneous blood vessel, dilate the pupils, and stimulate the heat regulating center. The active principle of Dhatura is excreted unchanged through the urine almost immediately after its administration, and the excretion is usually completed in 10 to 20 hours. It is therefore advisable to preserve urine in cases of Dhatura poisoning, since the urine may show active principle, whereas the stomach wash may not occasionally respond to the chemical test. Signs and symptoms. Contact with leaves and flower producing dermatitis in sensitive person. Ingestion. If seeds are taken, the action appears in 30 minutes, while if alkaloid is taken, the action appears within few seconds. In most cases, Dhatura seeds are powdered and administered with food. The earliest symptom is a bitter taste in the mouth. Dryness of the mouth and throat occurs due to inhibition of salivation. Vomiting, both resulting in difficulty in taking. Dysphagia and thirst. The face gets flushed, pupils are dilated. Light reflex at first is sluggish and later absent. The powder of accommodation is interfered and hence vision suffered. The body temperature gets raised, skin is dry and hot due to inhibition of sweat secretion and stimulation of heat regulating center. The pulse becomes rapid but later becomes weak and irregular. Mental changes include restlessness, agitation. Patient may not recognize relatives or even friends. The patient becomes confused, giddy, stagger as if drunk, and later become delirious, mutters indistinct word, and suffers from muttering delirium. Patient may be noisy, violent, and subject to visual and auditory hallucination. The patient tries to run away from his bed, picks at the bleeding clothing, tries to pull imaginary thread from tips of the finger, thread imaginary needle. Death is rare and may occur due to respiratory paralysis. A fatal end is, however, unusual. The important signs and symptoms can be summarized under: dryness of the mouth and throat, difficulty in talking, dysphagia, dilation of cutaneous blood vessel, dilation of pupils, dry hot skin, dysuria, drunken gait, delirium, and drowsiness leading to coma. What are the fatal dose and fatal period? The fatal dose and fatal period: atropine or hyoscyamine is 120 grams, scopolamine 30 mg, Dhatura seed 50 to 100 in numbers. Fatal period is generally 24 hours and it varies from case to case. What should be the treatment? Shift the patient into a dark environment. Give respiratory assistance. Decontaminate like gastric lavage with a weak solution of tannic acid, emetics and purgatives to 3 to 4 days continuously to remove the seeds. Activated charcoal, intravenous fluid, catheterize the bladder. Contrainterdicted drugs, antihistamines, Disopyramide, morphine, Phenothiazines and Quinidine. Symptomatic treatments should be Diazepam. General antihistamine and Phenothiazines are to be avoided because it increases anticlerogenic effects. Medico-legal importance. It is generally used as aborificant, aphrodisiac, believed to be an aphrodisiac used as love filler. Beer. Solanaceous plant have been used to fortify beer since time immemorial in order to penetrate the effect of alcohol. In India, Dhatura is employed mainly as a stupefying poison because most for the purpose of robbery and rarely for kidnapping and rape. It is therefore sometimes known as road poisons also. The powdered seeds are mixed with food, drinks or tea or may even be given in betel gourd. Sometimes the seeds are also mixed with incense wood and the victim is exposed to the fumes which causes lethargy. The victim soon falls into deep sleep and later wakes up to find his belongings lost. By the judicious use of Dhatura, a whole household can be so drugged that the thieves can ransack the house at their ease. Colocynth or Indrayani. It is also known by different names like bitter apple because its appearance is like apple and tastes bitter. So it is called bitter apple. It belongs to family Cucurbitaceae. Colocynth is obtained from the dried pulp of the fruit of Cetrilius colocynthis or bitter apple. The plant grows widely throughout India. The pulp freed from the seed is called colocynth and occurs as a white spongy, light fragment having an intense bitter taste. What are the active principles? The active principle is a resinous glycoside colocynthine, which is a proved irritant of the GI tract or gastrointestinal tract. Glycosides are substances found in plant and are composed of a sugar and a non-sugar compound, the latter having a toxic action. Signs and symptoms. The common signs and symptoms are nausea, yellow vomiting, yellow colored watery stool with abdominal pain. Stools may be blood stained. Occasionally death may occur. Fatal dose and fatal period. The fatal dose is usually 1 to 3 grams and the fatal period is usually within 24 hours but may be delayed for a few days. Treatment. Gastric lavage followed by conservative supportive treatment. Medico-legal aspects. So what are the medico-legal aspects? It is causes congestion of pelvic viscera. It may have an indirect effect on the uterus and has accordingly been used to procure abortion. It also may take for the suicidal purpose. Now we come to another plant poison, that is Plumbago rosea, Lalchitra or Plumbago zelanca, that is Chitra. Plumbago, also known by different names as Chitra, Lalchitra, leadwort. The name comes from Latin word plumbum. It is a genus of 10 to 20 species of flowering plant in the family Plumbaginaceae, native to India. The names Plumbago and leadwort derive from the fact that its juice produces lead-colored stain on the skin. Active principle. Plumbagin and plumbagic acid. The roots of this plant contains an active principle called plumbagin, a glycoside. So all of the plant poisons mainly contains glycoside. It is a powerful irritant and has germicidal action also. In small dose, it acts as sudorific and stimulates the contraction of muscles of heart, intestine and uterus. In large doses, it causes respiratory failure leading to death. Fatal dose and fatal period. Fatal dose is almost uncertain and fatal period is maybe few days. Signs and symptoms. When applied externally, painful irritation and blisters and it can also used for producing artificial bruises when taken orally. When the roots are taken internally through mouth, it causes intense thirst, irritation of mucosa of stomach and intestine, vomiting, diarrhea, collapse, and later death caused due to narcotic action. What is the medico-legal importance of it? It is used for criminal abortion. Plumbago is mainly used as an aborificant, either used by ingestion or by local application directly root is applied, or the twig or the paste by means of an aborificant stick to the uteri. Malingerers have used plumbago to produce artificial bruises, so used in the case of cheating. In homicidal poisoning, it is used also. With this, we come to the end of module 1. Now we see what we are going to look at module 2. Preliminary examination of above mentioned plant poison. Preliminary examination of Dhatura from biological material, that is viscera. The extraction is carried out in total alcoholic or by Stat Soto or ammonium sulfate method. Microscopically, there is a table for microscopically examination of Dhatura seeds because it shows resemblance with that of tomato or chili seeds. The salient features are as follows. Vitals test. A portion of residue of the extract is treated as above. When violet color is produced, which immediately changes to red and then disappears. On adding a few drops of alcoholic potassium hydroxide, the colors reappears. Preliminary examination for Lalchitra. The active principle, plumbagin, a crystalline glycoside which exists as a fine glistering needle of golden yellow color. It is almost insoluble in cold water, moderately soluble in hot water, and freely soluble in ether, chloroform, alcohol, benzene, acetone, etc. The root of Plumbago zelanca is about 1 to 2 inch thick. The dried bark is reddish brown in color externally and brown and striated internally. The roots of Plumbago rosa is similar in structure but much smaller. The following tests are applied for detection of plumbagin in organic solvent. Digest the mixture with alcohol and filter, after that evaporating the tincture to dryness. Glistering needles of golden yellow colored appears. Preliminary examination of Colocynth. Physiological test. To find out acute toxicity of the aqueous extract of Colocynth, in this 5 rates are treated with the dose of 300 mg around. The treated rat were observed for 24 hours for acute toxicity symptoms. Death almost occur within 1 to 18 hours. Confirmatory examination of Colocynth. High performance liquid chromatography is used for detection of Colocynth. Confirmatory examination of Dhatura. Paper chromatography. Solvent system 1. Isobutanol, acetic acid, water in the ratio of 49:1:50. Detection is carried out using ultraviolet light at 254 nm. Reagents for detection are dragon drop, iodoplatinate reagent. Color of the spot, violet or blue or grey or brown violet. RF value for hyoscyamine is 0.02, hyoscine 0.25, atropine 0.46. Thin layer chromatography. Solvent system 1. Methanol water in the ratio of 70:3. Solvent system 2. Cyclohexane chloroform diethylamine in the ratio of 50:40:10. Reagents: acidified iodoplatinate reagent. Color of the spot: violet or blue or grey or brownish violet. RF values are for hyoscyamine 0.06, hyoscine 0.42, atropine 0.3. Paper electrophoresis, buffer pH at 8 using 0.2 molar boric acid and 0.05 molar borax. Voltage and time 300 volts for 2 hours. Migration distance towards cathode. Hyoscyamine 115, hyoscine 24, atropine 85. Thin layer electrophoresis. Electrolyte, pyridine, acetic acid, water in the ratio of 30:10:160. pH 5.5. Voltage and time 300 volts for 2 hours. Migration distance towards cathode. Hyoscyamine 86, atropine 72. Now we come to quantitative analysis. Using UV, 0.9 N solution of atropine in sodium sulfate shows absorbance at 254 nm. To detect amount of atropine in titrated with sodium hydroxide and sulfuric acid. Gas liquid chromatography with FID, that is flame ionization detector. Confirmatory test for bitter apple. Immunological test is performed. Mass spectrometry may also be used for its detection. Forensic importance of above mentioned plant poison. Importance of Dhatura in the field of forensic science. Dhatura was detected in the vomit of the victim and in the remaining food that has been taken. The blood pressure is greatly increased in the early sign of Dhatura poisoning. A moderate dose of Dhatura in a person with diseased artery may cause the rupture of cerebral vessel and so bring about a fatal result. It is also used to fortify Indian liquors and is sometimes an ingredient of the sweetmeat called majun, which is used as a mild intoxicant or aphrodisiac. Children can be easily kidnapped by giving them candy or sweet laced with Dhatura. Accidental case may occur in children and adults who eat the raw fruit or seeds, mistaking them for edible fruit or capsicum seeds. Importance of bitter apple in the field of forensic science. It causes congestion of pelvic viscera. It may have an indirect effect on the uterus and has accordingly been used to procure abortion. It may also be taken for suicidal purposes. Now we look at the forensic importance of plumbago group of plants in the field of forensic science. Criminal abortion. Plumbago is mainly used as an abortifacient, either used by ingestion or by local application directly of the root or twig or the paste by means of an abortion stick to the uteri. They have been used by cheaters to produce artificial bruises. With these forensic importance, we come to the end of module 4. Now we come to module 5, that is case study. Case 1 related to Dhatura. This is a very interesting case and is taken from the book Textbook of Forensic Medicine and Toxicology written by Krishnan Vij. This case has also been reported by Dr. S.N. Tiwari, ex-chemical examiner of UP. A case occurred at Muradabad in the year 1963, a very old case but important, wherein a Mohammedan male aged about 60 years developed rigor soon after eating chap, kheer in the evening. Death occurred the same night and was buried the next morning. On suspicion, his dead body was exhumed after 2 months. Chemical, physiological and microscopical tests confirmed the presence of Dhatura in the dissolved, disintegrated and liquidified visceral material. The active principle of Dhatura is excreted unchanged in the urine almost immediately after its administration. It is therefore advisable to preserve the urine in case of Dhatura poisoning. since the urine will show active principle on chemical analysis, whereas the stomach wash may not occasionally respond to the test. So now we come to another interesting case related to Lalchitra. This case is also interesting and has been taken from the book Textbook of Forensic Medicine and Toxicology, written by Dr. Krishnan Vij, reported in Bengal Chemical Examiner's annual report in the year 1938, wherein one Jatin Ali Mir of Murshidabad reported to the police that some 20 men armed with lathis, lanterns and torches had entered his house on previous night and carried away his valuable after having beaten and branded him with torches. Examination showed about 27 trifling injuries on accessible part of his body. This appeared to have been self-inflicted and caused by the application of plumbago rosea to the skin. The stain marks were of reddish brown color and without raised or inflamed margin. The hair were unstained and uninjured. The man was found guilty of bringing a false charge of dacoity. So with these two interesting cases of the above mentioned plant poison, at the end of these lectures, we can summarize that these plants are very necessary in our life as they are used in daily routine, but they have also poisonous substance which show adverse effect on us as well as on animals. So we have to be aware of these poisons, and we should know as a forensic scientist the proper examination and identification methods. We had discussed about some poisonous plant in this unit, also about their primary and confirmatory examination. It should also be taken into mind that while these plants are important in forensic point of view, which type of method is used to commit crime? With all these information here, we come to the end of today's lecture. Do keep in mind what we have discussed today in this plant poison. It's time for you all to do some self-study. This is Professor Devashish Bose signing off. If you want to learn more and enhance your knowledge, you may log on to our website for MCQs, quizzes and LORs at www.cec.nic.in. Till then, thank you and goodbye.